Well, hello. It's been a while. Yeah, it's me. It's DJ Ree. And I think I'm back. We got the podcast up and going. So you know what the official greeting is. Hey, yo. This is the Ayo podcast. Let's get into it. Hey, yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy, DJ R2W Ree. Yeah, that's me. And this is the podcast to be listening to, watching to. I appreciate y'all vibing in with me, wherever y'all listening to, whatever platform you're doing, even if you're watching on YouTube. I appreciate you taking the time to check out this podcast, the AO podcast. It's been a minute. It's been a while since I did something. And I'm like, I got to get back to it. I got to see if my people are still here. So if you're tuning in, thank you, thank you, thank you for tuning in and checking me out. All right. Before we get into the topic today, make sure you hit that like button, share it to all your friends and family, subscribe to the Culture Network for more AO content. All right. So, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is DJ Ree. Man, it feels good to be. It feels really good to be behind this mic again. There's a lot of things I want to talk about. There's a lot of people I want to interview. A lot of things I want to share with you guys, introduce to you guys. So I thought bring the AO podcast back so we could do what we do. A lot's been going on. If you know me, if you follow me, I am DJ Ree 84. You be seeing me live streaming, DJing on TikTok. Yes, I am on TikTok at I am DJ Ree 84, and I have the AO radio show there. We'll be doing the podcast live on TikTok. Also, I DJ on there as well. So yeah, but I also wanted to bring my podcast back, and I reach out to some friends. So in the upcoming episodes, I will be having my guests coming in. We will have some great conversations. It'll be a lot of dope interviews. All right. I just wanted to reintroduce myself to you guys since I've been gone, and for the new people that are watching and listening. That's who DJ Ree is. I'm a DJ. I love Disney. So you be seeing me at the parks a lot, vlogging at the parks, giving you park updates with the Disney. Also, I love wrestling too, so I do wrestling watch alongs on TikTok. Also, I'll be giving you my reactions about what's happening in the wrestling world, and we'll start doing that too. And since I'm talking about wrestling, I might as well get into the first topic that I want to talk about. Since I am a wrestling fan, I had to watch a real American Hulk Hogan documentary series on Netflix. It is a four-part documentary series on Netflix. I forgot the name of the production company, but they're in association with the WWE as well. It is a WWE Films. So I was interested. I was interested to see how far how far of a dive they would get into the life and career, even the controversy of the military ballet, Hulk Hogan. And I felt like they did a pretty good job. They did a pretty good job. And they covered a lot of stuff we already knew, but there was some new stuff I did find out. Hulk Hogan, he was everybody's childhood hero. Say your prayers, eat your vitamins. That was Hogan. But in the past few years, he's been under a little controversy with some things he said, especially in the black community that we did not like. And they did go into that in this documentary. Um, as you know, if you don't know, uh, his daughter Brooke separated herself from him, and it's sad to see. They talk about her growing up with, her mom, Hulk's ex-wife, and it's sad to see that she was not involved in the documentary. She didn't want nothing to do with it. We all know when all this stuff happened, especially when his health was declining, she distanced herself away from him, and she wanted nothing to do. She took herself out the will. She didn't show up to the funeral. And as of now, ever since the documentary came out, I heard her say that she regrets. She regrets not being in his will. So it's sad to see that that relationship didn't salvage. Uh, so she was not a part of this documentary. But it was good to see his first ex wife Linda and his son Nick. Now the documentary was really good. It starts off, his childhood and how he fell into wrestling and how he got into it. And when he first got into it, he didn't have the look, so he got bulked up. He got huge. He got the muscle. He got big. And one of my favorite wrestlers to this day is the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, who was in the documentary. And we find out in this documentary that Ted DiBiase was Hulk Hogan's very first opponent. His very first opponent. So Hulk Hogan's very first opponent was, Ted DiBiase, which I think was very, very cool. And for him to be in a documentary to share that experience was awesome. So we see how his career started, and this is one thing people didn't know. He did go. He started in the AWA, uh, and he was a heel, so we know that. But people didn't know that when he got to New York to work for the WWF, it wasn't run by Vince McMahon Jr. It was ran by Vince McMahon Sr., and he was a draw in New York. But did not everybody know that Hogan got fired? Hogan got fired. And why did he get fired? He got fired because he got a role in the movie Rocky 3. We all remember Hogan in Rocky 3. And because Hogan took that role in Rocky 3, Vince McMahon Sr. fired him. And a lot of people didn't know that. Hogan got fired because he was in Rocky 3. So while he was doing the press and doing the whole movie thing, he met his first wife Linda, and they got married. And we heard a lot of unnecessary stuff. How when he invited her to the hotel room, he undressed himself, got naked, and they did what they did. Which I thought we didn't need to know that, but Linda she loved that memory for some reason. Um, So we find out while all in between that time, Vince McMahon Jr., that we know, Vince McMahon, he bought the company from his father. People didn't know that he bought the company from his father. And he bought his company from his father. He saw Hulk in the movie, and he brought Hulk back, and that's when Hulkamania was born. That was Hulkamania was born. So they talked about his career, Hulkamania starting off, WrestleMania 1, WrestleMania 2, all that stuff. Now here's the thing. They talk about WrestleMania 3, Hogan versus Andre. I agree with some people. The story that Hogan tells about that match, I do not believe at all. I don't believe at all. He said he went to that match not knowing if Andre was going to do the job and put him over, but clearly Andre did. I have a hard time believing that they didn't go over the match. I have a hard time believing, but Hogan been saying that for like 40 some years, 41, 42 years, and he stuck with that story and he took it to the grave. But I have a real hard time believing that. But yeah, they talked about that. Um, they talked about how Hogan, after all of that, he wanted to retire. Um, Yada yada yada. He wanted to retire, and yeah, he left. And then they persuaded him to come back at like 92, 93. And it was a new generation. Bret Hart was champion. They had Yokozuna. And the thing about Hogan is Hogan politics his way. He's like, I'm Hulk Hogan. I'm the one who put the wrestling on the map. I'm Hulk Hogan. He politicked his way into getting the championship. So we heard that story from WrestleMania 9, which is crazy. And then after that, he got fired again. He was old, and they felt like they couldn't use him no more. So they talk about his time leaving WWF for good, and then going to WCW. In between the time he left WWF and going to WCW, he was filming Thunder in Paradise. If y'all remember his show, Thunder in Paradise, I love the show. I watched it all the time before Nitro. and they said how Bischoff met Hogan, and 'cause their sound stages were right next to each other, and it looked like I found it. I found it amazing that Hogan going to WCW in the red and yellow. That was really a failed experiment. Everybody was getting old. Everybody wasn't getting old, but everybody was getting tired of the red and yellow. Hogan, he wasn't in his prime. I mean, he was almost 40 years old, and people wasn't feeling him like that. They started to boo him and stuff, which people don't realize when he was in the red and yellow in WCW. So, you know, the greatest thing happened. The NWO. They talked about how the NWO started and how him turning heel changed the game and everything. Um, One thing that we did not know, or I shouldn't say I did not know that Hogan was dabbling in the drugs. He was, I say, dabbling in the powder. He was doing that, and I didn't know that, and that was getting really, really bad. He was neglecting his family and everything. I found that part interesting. I also found the part interesting is when he testified against Hogan. I mean, when he testified in court, and he was supposed to testify for the prosecution, but he went and told the truth. Yeah, I did, and McMahon didn't give me the steroids. That was crazy to me. That even though Hogan and McMahon had beef, he still defended him in court. And the crazy part about it was McMahon went on live TV and was like, "Why would Hogan say that? That's not true." And basically said Hogan lied in the stand, which is crazy to me. So yeah, they dived into that. They dived into the whole NWO. You know, he was in drugs and everything. I guess after WCW, he left WCW and WCW shut down. He was in a really bad phase where he got um into the drug use. They did that reality show, Hogan Knows Best. They got into that and how that was really bad in the family. That's when him and Linda split. And then while him and Linda split, he wanted to take his own life and things like that. Now, let me say something about Linda McMahon. Linda McMahon was trash for what she did. Okay, Hogan was trash too, because allegedly Hogan, well, yeah, I was gonna say allegedly Hogan hooked up with one of Brooks, his daughter's friends, and they did like a whole sex tape and all of that, and y'all know that story and everything. So yeah, he hooked up with one of his daughter's friends, which is crazy enough. Crazy work. Hogan did something like that. But Linda, when she found out, this is how petty she is. She hooked up with one of, I think, her son's friends who was like 18, 19. And throughout the divorce, Hogan wasn't allowed to be in either the house or the beach house. So he got a condo, and the condo overseed his house and everything. And he saw Linda's little boy toy driving his bolts and stuff, and she would drive by him with the boy in the cars and everything. I thought that was crazy and petty. So Linda was, we know she was hurt from the divorce and him cheating, but the amount of pettiness she did was crazy to me. Crazy to me. But yeah, they talk about all that. Hulk want to take his life. Bishop called him. Bischoff called him, and they went to TNA. They talked about his TNA run. I think that's probably one of the best runs he had because they tried having him wrestle, but he couldn't wrestle no more. So they had him as like an authority figure or something like that, which was cool for him. And that's probably one of the best times Hogan had in his career not wrestling was in TNA. Now they talked about after TNA, after all that, they dived into the sex tape that was leaked, and that whole debacle, how that went to court and everything, how that was damaging to him. And then they talked about the last few years of his life, the last couple years of his life. As you know, this documentary was his last interview, by the way. So he passed away like right after this interview. They were supposed to go back, do a recap or see if there's anything new up with him, but he passed away after doing this. They talked about him entering politics, and it's crazy how he supported our president Trump, and he said he wasn't going to dabble into politics, but when he saw that Trump there was an assassination attempt on Trump, that would made him get into this whole politic game, and Trump was a friend of him. And this is my other complaint about this documentary. Our president of the United States had time to do this documentary, which is crazy to me. With all the craziness in the world, Trump had time to do this documentary. Even like when they first started setting up his interview and they showed this in the documentary, he said, "I'm glad to do this for Hulk. Hulk is my friend because right now I have a very important call with Russia." He said something like that. I had like a very important call with Russia or a very important meeting with Russia. And at this time, and he doing all of this during the interview, which is crazy to me. But yes, Trump is in this documentary, which is I think is crazy. I just think it's crazy with all that's going on in the world right now. Trump is in this documentary, doing the interview. But yeah, they talked about that, how he went on the campaign trail, how he met his new how Hogan met his new wife. He found Jesus. He got baptized and all this stuff. Um, they talked about Monday Night Raw debut episode on Netflix in LA and how he went out there and he got booed. Bruce Pritchard, if you know who Bruce Pritchard is, he's the producer, like one of the head main producers in the WWE and creative. And he played Brother Love. Now he said, I don't think politics and wrestling should mix because you're gonna lose your fan base. And that what he said was true. Because what happened in Los Angeles at that Netflix premiere of Monday Night Raw, they put Hogan out there to promote his Real American beer and all this stuff. The man got booed out the building. The man got booed out the building. Let me say this again. The man got booed out the building. That tells you everything. Los Angeles, California is a Democratic city and state. So when you go out in public saying that you're a Trump supporter, you're MAGA, of course we're going to boo you out the building. And that's exactly what happened to Hogan. His best friend, manager Jimmy Hart, was just like, I know Hulk was heartbroken. I can understand. It was like, this is wrestling. I don't understand why they booed him, but they booed him because of the politics and his views with Trump. Hogan said he wasn't bothered by it. He wasn't bothered by it. I refuse to believe that. I think Hogan was heartbroken that he got booed out the building that day because of the whole endorsement of Trump. I think he was heartbroken that day. Even his wife said that didn't take him. His current wife said that didn't phase him. I don't believe that. I think Hogan was hurt. Yeah, 25,000 people booing you out the building. My ego would be crushed if that happened to me. So they talked about that. Bruce Prichard said correct. You cannot mix pro wrestling and politics if you lose your fan base, and that's what happened. Um, Another thing they touched on is if y'all remember, there's these tapes that came out of Hogan, these audio tapes of Hogan talking about how he don't like us. I'm not gonna say it, the N word. He don't want his daughter dating the N word. And you remember when those resurfaced, before he got rehired back, before the whole booing in LA, um, Triple H fired him because of that. And Triple H in the documentary said, I didn't fire Hulk Hogan. I fired the man Terry Bollea. Understandably so. Understandably so. He said I fired Terry Bollea, and we brought him in, and we're like, the debut episode of Raw on Netflix. We need Hogan, and he said we brought Hogan in to apologize to the locker room. And as we know, there's a lot of people in the locker room till this day don't forgive Hogan or didn't believe his apology. Let's make that straight. A lot of people in that locker room did not believe his apology to this day, like Booker T and some of the New Day. So yeah, that and Mark Henry too was very outspoken about that, and even Mark Henry on Bust Open Radio even said that he told the WWE, if you want to fix this, let me have Hogan. We will go to HBCUs, do an apology tour. And Mark Henry said Hogan didn't want to do that. Hogan didn't want to do that. So that's why we a lot of people in the black community didn't want to mess with Hogan and still don't want to mess with Hogan. And I completely understand that. So, but they hired him back to move back to Netflix, and he got booed out of Los Angeles. Um, that's the last time we saw. It's sad to say that's the last time we saw Hogan in L.A. Hogan on TV. The last image I have of Hulk Hogan in the WWE ring is, or not in the WWE ring, but on the WWE stage, is him being booed out the building. That's the last image I have of him. And by this time, he's not even talking to his daughter. His daughter is just completely took herself out of his life. So I mean, it's sad to see. That's what happened towards the end of Hogan's life. Um, but yeah, yeah, that's man. That was basically a documentary, and unfortunately, they said that we're gonna come back in about 6 months, catch up with you, see what's going on. But I think about 4 months after filming, Hulk passed away, and we found out how he passed away. He had about 3 back surgeries, and he was having complications from those back surgeries, and he had cardiac arrest or complications of back surgery, and that's how he passed away. And they showed clips from his funeral. And his funeral was there. It wasn't that packed, but it was there. And of course, Vince McMahon was there showing out. Everybody give Hulk Hogan a standing ovation, and he's doing you know, the ear thing and all of that. So that's the whole documentary. I hope I explained it well. I thought it was good. I wish Brooke would have been in it to tell her side of the story, but she didn't want to be in it. Nick Hogan was there, his son, and we know his past, the trouble he been into. We'll get into that in a whole nother podcast video. But overall, it was a really good documentary. It was good. I give it like a 8 out of 10. Uh, Watch it if you are a wrestling fan. Watch it if you're not a wrestling fan. Everybody know who's Hulk Hogan. Everybody know the impact he made on our childhood and everything. It's a good watch. Um, so that's what I want to talk about. Give our review. What was the documentary was about? How it went. I don't think I gave everything away. There's some stuff I left out, just in case you do want to watch it. It's called Real American Hulk Hogan. It's on Netflix. It's a four part documentary. It's a good watch. It's a good watch. All right. So hey yo, that's what I have for you. All right, y'all. Thank you for watching and listening to this episode of the AO podcast. I am back. I will be consistent. If you don't see anything come out, DM me on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok. I am DJ Ree 84 fire sign. That's where you can find me. Also, I'll put out a schedule when I go live on TikTok. Um, you know, DJing. We got the AO radio show and then reacting to Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, and all that good stuff. And then make sure you go. I might be back at Disney, so make sure you follow What the Disney as well on that YouTube channel and that TikTok. We've been down over there, but we might make a comeback. We'll see. So to support us. So I'll have my link tree in the bio or in the comment sections, so you know how to support me and the Culture Network and what the Disney are. Right. Again, like, share, subscribe to the Culture Network on all platforms. Uh, Follow me on TikTok. I am DJ Ree 84. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for tuning in, taking a chance on this podcast, and listening and watching wherever wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening. All right. Until next time, it's your boy DJ R2W. And yes, it's me, and this was the place to be on the Culture Network podcast. Hey yo, it's the Ayo podcast, and I'm out. Peace.